live. We had a question asked in our Facebook group by Atwan. So Atwan, shout out to you. Cool question. This is a vulnerable question. A lot of people have this question and don't ask. So he said, good tenant, can't pay rent. What do I do? We're in a good area where delinquency isn't common, and these tenants have been with us for 2.5 years without a missed payment. She calls and tells me her spouse and her lost their jobs and will be without rent for the next 3 months. Quote, your only option is to evict otherwise, and I'm worried about custody of the kids, unquote. I believe her and think she'll deliver eventually, but any suggestions on a plan to handle this? All right. This is a difficult dilemma that comes up in property management because you have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of the property on behalf of the owner who is your client, right? But you may also have this caring, loving, maybe even bleeding heart that wants to take care of people. So how do you deal with this challenge? There's some really great feedback in the group, really good comments, which I really enjoyed. So, some of the comments were like, just evict. So one of them is, treat every tenant the same. Josh Velt, or maybe it's Velte. I don't know if I said your name right. Treat every tenant the same. Otherwise, you could be getting into fair housing issues. My standard reply is, thank you for updating us, and please keep updating us during this tough time as things progress. I hope you can find work again soon, but we are legally obligated by our contract with the owner to start the eviction process. We can cancel it as soon as payments are received. Side note, if I lost my job, I wouldn't, quote, no, I'd be out of work for 3 months, unquote. I'd have a job in the next week doing anything I could. We'll get back to that. That's a good point. Some people suggested having them sign a lease addendum and like kind of trying to accommodate them. I think some other advice mentioned once somebody's behind 3 months, are they really going to be able to catch up? That makes the burden even harder. So I really like Richard Bailey had a comment. Unless you're willing to do this for every tenant, you're staring a fair housing thing in the face, right? Similar challenge. So Tony Klein, what's up, Tony, said the odds of her catching up once she falls far behind are pretty slim. I agree. And you have to stick to your policies, right? So here's the thing. Also point out, Rex Parlay says in my area, there's at least 10 charities that have housing money. Give them the standard non-payment notice, file eviction. Most agencies will actually pay late fees and court costs. Just collected over $6,000. Tenants are good through the end of the month. We also, when filed the eviction, had our attorney accept the funds with a stipulation. This states that if the tenant is late for the next payment, we can finish the eviction. Clever. All right. So I want to point out, how to justify this, right? Because this is an emotional challenge. How do you justify this? First of all, if people believe they have to pay, they find a way. Remember that phrase. If people believe they have to pay, they find a way. I remember like coming up as an entrepreneur and struggling to like have funds or make cash flow every month, juggling between sales, doing sales, and then juggling towards fulfilling on those sales and trying to do the work, and then realizing I was now in a sales slump because I hadn't been focused on sales, and going back and the waves of cash coming in and not being there, and then trying to pay team members, right? Maybe you don't have that challenge, but I had problems like that early in my business. I needed help. There were times I needed help. I didn't. And so I got resourceful. Entrepreneurs get resourceful. People in general get resourceful when they have to. When it means they're up against the wall and they have to make a decision, they will do something. So they will leverage help from family. They will leverage help from friends. They will, but if you let them off the hook, I believe this lady is saying, hey, I see there's a problem and I'm going to go for the easiest low-hanging fruit, which is let me off the hook. But if you let them off the hook, you don't provide them with the opportunity to innovate, to get creative and resourceful, to realize they can solve problems, to build their self-worth and their self-esteem. Don't shortchange them in their growth as humans, is what I say. Don't shortchange them. You can be a rescuer or a challenger. And I'm going to explain this. So let me see if I can share my screen. I want you to understand drama, because you're about to either be their persecutor, is the perception, or they're going to be maybe make themselves a victim. And if you're trying to rescue them, you are caught in what I call the drama triangle. So let me show this to all of you, and this will change how you see situations forever. All right. Now, let's see if this will show my screen. All right. Anytime there's drama, there's going to be what's called the Karpman, Karpman drama triangle. You can look it up. And it looks like this. We've got this triangle, and all points lead to the role of victim. So this person is a victim. I lost my job, right? It happened to me. And you're just going to have to evict me, which they're saying, and they're asking you to rescue them. Rescue me. All right. And in order for there to be drama, there also has to be a persecutor. Oh, the mean person fired me, or whatever. Now, what's interesting is all paths lead to victimhood. Everybody in this drama triangle becomes a victim. So this is also the negative archetype of the family. This is the father. This would be the negative shadow archetype of the mother, and this would be the archetype of the child, right? Mommy goes and says, "Oh, you're okay. That I can't believe that's happened to you. I'll take care of you. I'm your Dr. Feelgood. Come to me and I'll give you the drug of emotion and like make sure you're okay." Right? And the father is the archetype of this persecutor, like punish them, right? Persecuted them, did this thing, right? And the child then is the victim. And this is kind of the negative archetype, and this is the drama triangle, right? Now, we can flip this on its head if we take this. So let's take all of this and let's shrink this down here. All right. Now, the opposite of the drama triangle is called the empowerment dynamic. And the empowerment dynamic has, similar to the victim, but it calls it a different role. Calls it the creator, right? Like you're created in God's image, right? God is the creator. You're a creator. You can create. You create your own reality. You lost the job. You can find a job. A creator can create. They are not a victim of life. They're not a victim of their past. They're not a victim of the future. They're a creator. They have a choice. We as human beings are conscious beings that can choose, right? And so when we are deciding to be a victim, we are lying to ourselves in some way. We're saying, I don't have the power to change this. I'm not at choice. All right. So creator. And then the opposite of the persecutor would be the challenger, right? Think of dad like, hey, I challenge you to do this. You can do this, right? The challenger, like, let's try and do some extra reps. Let's do this harder, right? Do this. You can do it, right? And then we've got the coach instead of the mother, right? The coach gives you hope. The coach believes in you. They don't rescue you. They don't say, "Oh, you did the right thing by coming to me, and I can't believe that." And they don't validate your scenario. Oh my gosh, you're such a victim. The coach says, "That sucks. What can you do about this? I believe in you. How can you solve this problem?" Right? The challenger says, "Go solve this problem. Work harder. Make this work." The coach gives them hope. "I believe in you. I know you can do this," right? How many of you had a mom like I had that said, "I believe in you. You can do this," right? You could do anything you put your mind to, these kind of things, right? They believe in you. They give you hope and belief in yourself, right? It empowers you. That's why it's the empowerment dynamic, it empowers you to become a creator, to create a new reality, which is a choice. You then have a choice. I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to do something with this. And so don't what Atwan is asking about, like, I want to be the hero somewhat. I don't want to be the bad guy. I want to rescue this person. But really, if you don't, then you will be the persecutor. I recommend instead you focus on challenging them and coaching them, right? How can I support them? How can I help them level up as a human being? Like, hey, I have a responsibility to my client to do this. And it's unfortunate that you lost your job. Do whatever it takes and get some funds in, because my hands are tied on this, but I believe in your ability to do this. You've been great tenants. I know you're sharp. You know how to do this, how to work. You can find a job. There's plenty of businesses having trouble finding people to work nowadays since COVID, right? You can go out and find a job, find any job, get some funds in. Both of you get to work, right? Give them the challenge. You give them a challenge. And if you give them an out, they don't have a challenge to go collect rent. You want to give to go get money to pay rent. You want to make sure they have a challenge to work on. And the challenge is, well, I can't give you an out. I'm not giving you an out. There's nothing I could do. The eviction process is going to start. So what are you going to do? Put it back on their shoulders. They're trying to abdicate their responsibility and put it onto your shoulders. Property managers, you deal with enough. Do not take that stuff from the tenant and go, oh, let me see how I can help you. Put it back on their shoulders. Well, this is going to happen. So what can you do about this? Ask them the right questions so they start to figure out and find their own answers. How can you get some funds in? Who can you reach out to? Do you have family members? Do you have friends that would help you and support you? Do you know people that you could get a job from? This is where you challenge them, right? And sometimes just saying no is enough to issue a challenge to allow them to do this. If you do it with a little bit of grace, you do it with a little bit of love and kindness, then you are not going to be the persecutor. They're evicting me. They're such jerks. They have so much money and they could have just not collected this. And all landlords are evil, wealthy people with tons of money and they could just not collect the rent that month, right? No, these people have house payments. These people have responsibilities too. They have their own families to take care of. Why should their family suffer because you can't keep a job, right? Don't say that. All right. So this is the idea though. Be the challenger, be the coach, and view them not as a victim. View them as a creator. View them as somebody that can get creative and can solve this problem. Don't hold space for them in a way that they're small. And just this question, the way it was asked at one, you're seeing them, in a difficult situation. You're seeing them as small. See them as something greater. See them as somebody that could easily go out and find a new job. See them as somebody that can easily reach out to family members to make that first month's rent, to give them an extra 30 days of bandwidth. See them as somebody that has the power, the endless capacity and power of an infinite level of options of jobs, online, in person, whatever. When people get desperate, they take action and they do whatever it takes. This is one of those times where they get to step up as mom and step up as dad and take care of their family, right? This should not be a burden to you stress-wise. This should not be a burden to your client stress-wise. Don't take on their problems. Don't become the rescuer. Don't be the persecutor, because what ends up happening is that every role in the drama triangle, every role becomes a victim. The rescuer, if you try to rescue somebody, you ever heard the phrase, no good deed goes unpunished? That was probably said by somebody who had been a rescuer way too many times, tried to save people, and got crucified multiple times by those same people. When you try to save people and rescue people, you are saying you don't have the capacity to help yourself. You need my help. I will help you. And then they believe that. And then when they continue to not take action and not do the work and not do what's required, they will blame you. Well, why did you stop rescuing me? Why did you stop? Why are you now evicting me? You're a jerk, that sort of thing. Now you are their persecutor, right? And then you're going to say, gosh, I tried to help them. Now they're my persecutor. I was doing a good thing. Now they're treating me like garbage. I'm a victim. So now they're your persecutor and you're the rescuer. If you're the persecutor, you're like, hey, I'm just doing my job. And now they're like going off and telling people I'm terrible and going to rescuers and saying, bad mouthing me and all this. I'm a victim. They're a persecutor, right? All paths lead to being a victim in the drama triangle. So stay out of it. Stay out of the drama triangle. Stay above this blue line here. Stay up here. Stay in this area. All right. So hopefully this gives all of you a little bit of a mindset shift. This applies to dealing with team members. This applies to your kids. This applies to your spouse. This applies to everything. Focus on being a creator, a challenger, or a coach. Those 3 C's, and you'll have a very different life, a life with a lot less drama. A lot of people are addicted to the drama. You might be a little bit addicted to the drama. It floods your body with a bunch of adrenaline and anger hormones, right? You might be wanting out of the drama. We get power as a victim. We become vampires where we feed and we say, tell everybody our problems, and they give us sympathy and empathy, and it feels like love, but it's this sick version of it. Don't be a victim. All right. Be a creator and empower your residents, empower your owners, and empower yourself and empower your team. And that's all I have to say today. So thanks for the question, Atwan, and thanks for all the comments in the Facebook group. If you want to join an awesome community and you're not seeing this inside our Facebook group, go to doorgrowclub.com, join our free community, and we have a lot of great stuff. Talk to everybody soon. Bye, everyone.